everyone. Today we got to play Patchwork. This is a Mayfair game. Now that it's no longer.
Yes.
So now it's a lookout game. But this was one of the first ones that you got me, I think, for our first Christmas. So, before we get into this game, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell because Randy needs a cheer up.
It's Christmas, you know.
It's Christmas. Do us a favor, support the channel, just hit the subscribe button. And if you actually want to watch the stuff, press the notification bell. We love hanging out.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about this particular game, Randy. Tell us more about it.
Well, Patchwork was originally released in 2014. It has a Board Game Geek rating of 7.6, and its rank is 93. It's a two-player game, lasts about 15 to 30 minutes, which is roughly right. Ages 8 and up, probably about right. Designed by Uwe Rosenberg, who designs a lot of games now for Lookout Games. Back then, I guess they were owned by Mayfair, so it was still Lookout Games then. The art on this one was by Clemens Franz, Rex Lee, and Gru Sao. And as I mentioned, it was published now by Lookout Games. Back then, obviously, our copy was Mayfair. It is still in print. You can find it online for roughly $31, $32. It looks like the MSRP is about $35. That's what it's selling for on eBay and on the Geek Shop on Board Game Geek, and then there's some used copies for $15, $17.
All right, so it's available. You guys can find it. It's not that big of a deal.
Yep.
So let's talk about quality of pieces. Basically, it's a bunch of cardboard chits.
And a little bit of wood.
One wood. No, three wood. 3 pieces of wood, yeah. So as far as quality of pieces, 5.
Yeah, it's nothing special.
There's really nothing. There's nothing neat. Now, moving on to theme, though, there's a lot more to be said for theme because, listen, this is probably one of the first crafting-themed games that kind of came out. There was a few after the fact, and it made me really happy because I'm a huge crafter, and so I was super excited. And I think that's one of the reasons why you bought it for me is because of the theme. And so I really appreciate it. I like the fact that you're making this patchwork quilt.
It was also the first one that introduced this mechanic of going around and selecting pieces and building your tapestry. There's a lot of games that follow Baron Park and a bunch of other ones that use this.
Right.
There's the Cottage series, a whole bunch of them that were part of that.
Yeah.
That all have that same mechanic as part of it.
Yeah, so, I mean, overall theme, though, I think it's a cute little theme. It is, yeah, you're patchworking your board together to make a blanket. I wouldn't call this heavy theme by any stretch of the imagination. I think the art's pretty interesting in the fact that you have a bunch of different fabric tiles, and all the fabrics are pretty unique. So in that aspect, it's pretty nice. I'm probably going to give this a 6.5, and it's probably because I love the crafting element to it. So
yeah, I'm probably about the 6. I'm probably about a 6 on it. I don't see it. There's nothing really spectacular about the theme, but it's a fun theme, and if it's something you have an interest in particular, like if you're into crafts and sewing, this is a good choice.
And it's light enough to get other people involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is definitely an entry-level game.
Yeah, and so I think it's really good for getting a different kind of people interested, and so this was a good, might hold a good thing. And I appreciate that it's actually 2-player.
Yeah, it's hard to find a good 2-player game.
And this is a solid 2-player game. I'm completely fine with this being 2-player. So now let's talk about rules.
Well, first thing, it is a centerfold.
Well, it's not...
Yeah, I know.
It's not horrible.
I don't like centerfolds, but
really
in this one, the rules are so simple. There's only a few words on each page on this centerfold. So, the first page is all about setting up the play area. The second one is basically how you play the game. The second two, that tells you basically you have 2 choices of actions. You pass your turn or you take tiles, which we'll get to in gameplay. And then the in-game scoring's on the back. So it's hard to mess this up. the fact that the box is as small as it is the main reason I think this couldn't have just been a one-sheeter. So, given the fact, I can understand why they did the centerfold. I'll go ahead and give it a 7.5 because it's an easy read, a quick read, and it doesn't add more to it than you need to get the rules across.
Yeah. So now let's talk about gameplay. So these the wooden marker gets placed randomly on the board. Actually, this gets placed and then the markers get randomly placed around it. And so if it's my turn, I have a number of buttons. I'm pretty wealthy from my last go around, but
yeah, you normally start the game with 5.
5. I will say buttons are actually victory points too, though. So be aware that as you spin buttons, these are your victory points. So there is a cost savings strategy you kind of want to go in there, but at the same time. So basically, if my wooden piece is marked there, I have the next 3 tiles that are available for me to purchase. I can purchase any one of those. I move the marker to it. So this one has a 2-for-1 deal. So I'm going to spend my 5. I'm going to get 3 change because that's nice. And then, so I paid the 2 buttons, but there's also a time cost. So there's 2, costs there. So I'm going to move up 1 since I'm green. I'm going to move up my space 1. I'm going to put this in here, and bam, and then it's your turn.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to win because I'm starting with a blank slate, whereas you've got a full board. But basically, whoever is furthest back on the path, that's the mechanic that's really introduced, because there's a lot of games that use this mechanic now. But the time clock is this interwoven spiral path, and whoever's furthest back on the path is the active player. And if you land on the same player's space, whoever's on top, it's their turn to go. So the idea is you can take a lot of low-cost ones in time to keep taking turns to fill your board faster, but then there may be a higher cost in buttons.
Yeah, well, but then the other piece of it as well is the fact that, so tiles that have buttons give you an income of buttons. And so those are pretty valuable, but they're also very costly. And so, do you take the income to have a better reward? Now, at the beginning of the game, that's all I try to get is button tiles. But towards the end of the game, it doesn't matter as much because there's not as many, so I'm all fine for what's the cheapest or what is the cheapest cost in time.
Well, it's also, you got to be able to fit it into your puzzle.
Right.
So
I didn't have that problem.
Yeah. So you're trying to fill your board ideally, because if at the end of the game, for every empty space you have, you get a penalty of a victory point.
Biggest thing is you do want to complete 7 by 7 because the first person who does that gets an extra 7 victory points.
And when we say 7 by 7, it means a complete fill of a row of 7 and a column of 7.
Yeah. So the square.
Yes.
So the square has to be completely filled. So basically you made a blanket. That's the other pieces. So as you go around the board, there's these little button icons. When you pass that, when your thing goes past that button icon, that's essentially triggering income. So you count it. Now, for an example, say if I run out, so Randy ran out of money because he's broke. Sorry, Randy.
Yeah, that's the way it usually is.
So, and he can't afford anything in the next 3 spaces. They're all 10 because that happened to us last game. Or this last game. So he's decided that, you know what, I'm just going to pass. Now, Randy, show the lovely people what you're going to do.
If you cannot afford to take a tile because you don't have enough buttons, or you choose not to, you can move up to in front of the other player, and for each space you move, you'll get a button. If you happen to pass one of the income, you will get those buttons as well, based on the buttons you have accumulated as far as income goes. The other thing is, during the course of this, there's going to be these 1 single square patch tiles. And if you pass one of those on the way, you get to claim that and place it immediately into your board. You can't hold back on those to fill in holes on your board. So if you've got just like 1 single spot that you can't get anything in because there are no single tiles anywhere else except for on this board, it's a good way to fill in the holes.
Yeah, I mean, you really try and plan not to have to need them, but most of the game I end up needing like 1.
Yeah.
Or at least 2. But the thing is they're essentially a victory point because now you don't lose at the end of the game. So that's really nice to have if you think in that consideration. So this, so basically you're managing two resources, buttons and time, and trying to figure out the best thing. And it's a Tetris kind of game, and I really like Tetris kind of game. So this one's right up my alley. This one's a good, getting a group of friends and you just chit-chatting and grabbing tiles and going. And I really appreciate that game for this. It's very similar to the feel of like Azul, where you can chit-chat and just play, but it's still interesting enough to where, it's a valid game. I really like it. It's a good one.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, once you get to the center of the spiral, that's when your game will end, but the other player will still continue until they reach the middle. But then you add up how many buttons you have, subtract off any penalties you have for open spots, and then also add on if you got the 7x7, that's additional 7
Well, that's
buttons.
the first one, so make sure you grab it first. As soon as you get it, you have to grab it.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose it.
So that's really all there is to this game. And I like that it's a simple game like that. It's easy to teach, easy to learn, and
But it's still solid enough to where we're not like dying playing it either.
No, it's definitely got some thought to it. I mean, one thing is you can get a random distribution like we got this time that was very harsh, where we got a series of super costly tiles at the very beginning of the game in our path, and it was like, this is not good.
It ate up our time like nothing crazy, but I still did all right.
Well, yeah, but we had to skip a lot at the very beginning. We skipped a lot of turns just because there was no way we could afford to take those tiles that were in there.
Yeah.
But all in all, this is a solid game, and I would rate this probably a 7.5 is where I'm at as far as, the fun factor and what, for being as simple as it is.
I agree. A 7.5 is this is a great little game. We've played it multiple times. There's actually a really good app for this as well. And I've played that multiple times as well. So I think this is a good solid game. I'm fine with the 7.5 for this.
And getting this review done fulfills our request from Annie from
about a year, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
like forever ago.
Well, I can't say it was a year ago.
Well, this is her wedding present.
We did the review finally for Patchwork. This is for you, Annie. Yeah, Annie, our friend Annie and Jonathan, the two of them that you've seen on our channel. Yeah. They're getting married this weekend. Congrats to them.
Yay, it's super exciting for them.
Our 1-year anniversary for the channel comes up next week.
Yeah, we're hoping to get Robin here for us to celebrate together.
I'm not sure when, but yeah, maybe we can
magic him.
Yeah, maybe we can bring him in, or I could make a puppet. Hi, I'm Robert.
Let's not.
No.
You didn't. No.
Maybe we can use the magic of technology. We could zoom him in or something.
Well, we may just do it delayed.
Nah, I don't want any posthumous because that never happens. We need to have to bring it. He's just gonna have to bring his game.
He's just gonna have to come. No, because but yeah, no, this has been a really fun year. But we'll talk more about that on our year anniversary. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast tonight. Hopefully you did too, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. Catch you guys later.
Bye.